listener to a story whispered in the quiet hush of Halloween night. Here, in this realm of soft-spoken secrets and gentle shadows, you're invited to drift into a world where even the faintest sounds hold a hint of mystery. Allow each word to settle like a falling leaf, each breath a breeze that stirs the stillness. Tonight, I'll guide you softly through a tale that shimmers between dreams and the unknown, where the veil is thin and the magic of Halloween waits to be heard in every rustle and whisper. So relax, let your mind wander, and let yourself be drawn into tonight's story. Whispers of the Haunted Library. The night air is cool as you approach the old library, the chill brushing against your skin like a whisper from another time. The building looms before you, its tall Gothic facade covered in creeping ivy, darkened windows reflecting the pale light of the crescent moon. The grand wooden doors, engraved with intricate carvings of vines and serpents, stand slightly ajar, as though inviting you to step inside. A faint creak echoes through the night as you gently push the door open. It swings wide with a groan, revealing the dimly lit interior. The air is thick with the scent of old paper, polished wood, and a hint of something damp and ancient, like forgotten secrets resting beneath layers of dust. As you step over the threshold, the heavy door creaks shut behind you, and a soft thud reverberates through the space, leaving you alone in the stillness. The soft ticking of a grandfather clock somewhere in the distance provides a subtle rhythm, echoing through the cavernous hall. Your footsteps tap lightly on the marble floor, each step resonating with a faint echo as you walk deeper into the library. The main reading room unfolds before you, its high arched ceiling disappearing into shadows. Rows of tall shelves stretch into the gloom, laden with dusty tomes and ancient manuscripts, their spines faded and worn with age. A dim glow from scattered candles illuminates narrow passages between the shelves, casting long, flickering shadows across the room. The candle flames seem to sway and dance as if stirred by an unseen breath. Dust particles drift lazily in the air, illuminated in the candlelight, adding a shimmering haze to the gloom. You find yourself instinctively slowing down, as if any sudden movement might disrupt the silence, as though the very air itself is listening. There is a stillness here, a kind of calm that feels almost unnatural. You can hear the faintest of sounds, the subtle rustle of pages turning somewhere in the distance, the gentle sigh of a draft whispering through the narrow gaps between the shelves, and the soft creaking of wood settling in the quiet. The library's atmosphere is as thick and heavy as the volumes that line its shelves, filled with stories and knowledge from centuries past. This place, so ancient and revered, feels as though it is waiting for something to happen, or perhaps waiting for someone like you. As you take a few more steps forward, your eyes begin to adjust to the dim light, and you feel a subtle tug of curiosity, an inexplicable urge to explore. It is as if the library itself is drawing you in, pulling you deeper into its labyrinth of shelves and secrets. The faint ticking of the clock persists, and as you venture farther from the entrance, the echoes grow softer, the silence thicker. You come to a halt, standing still in the midst of the towering bookshelves. It feels as though the very walls are closing in, whispers of those who once sought their knowledge here. Your adventure begins, and you can't help but feel as though the library has been waiting for you all along. You take a cautious step forward, the sound of your footsteps softened by the thick layer of dust that coats the marble floor. The rows of shelves stretch endlessly on either side, forming a maze of books and shadows. Each step draws you deeper into the heart of the library, where the light of the candles grows dimmer, swallowed up by the towering shelves that seem to reach towards the darkened ceiling above. The air is cooler here, and the stillness carries a weight, as though the very silence is pressing down upon you. The scent of old paper is stronger, mingled with the faint mustiness of leather bindings and a hint of something sweet, like the lingering fragrance of an extinguished candle. You trail your fingers lightly along the spines of the books as you pass, feeling the textured surfaces beneath your touch, some cracked and brittle, others smooth and polished with age. The titles are barely legible, faded by time, written in languages you don't recognize, or scripts so ornate that the letters curl into incomprehensible shapes. As you move through the aisles, you hear a faint murmur, a soft, barely audible whisper that seems to drift from the very walls. It is not a single voice, but a chorus, rising and falling in a gentle rhythmic cadence, as though the library itself is speaking in hushed tones. You stop and turn your head, listening closely, trying to discern where the sound is coming from. It seems to emanate from all around, yet from nowhere in particular, slipping through the gaps between the bookshelves like a breeze that doesn't stir the air. It is as if the voices are trapped, caught within the dusty pages of the books, murmuring the stories they contain in quiet, secretive tones. The sensation is unsettling, yet oddly calming, like a lullaby sung in a language long forgotten. You reach out and pull a book from the shelf. It is large and heavy, bound in dark leather with faded gold lettering on the spine. The cover is worn, and the edges of the pages are yellowed and fragile. As you open it, a puff of dust rises, shimmering briefly in the candlelight before settling back down. The faint whispering grows louder, almost as if the book itself is speaking. The words on the pages blur before your eyes, and you find that you can't quite focus on the text. It seems to shift and writhe on the page, making it impossible to read. You snap the book shut, the sound echoing faintly through the library. The whispers seem to retreat, growing softer once more, as if fading back into the shadows. You place the book back on the shelf and continue walking, moving deeper into the labyrinth of knowledge. There is a peculiar sensation in the air, as though you are being watched, not by anyone, but by the library itself, or perhaps by the stories held within its pages. As you wander, the faint sound of footsteps reaches your ears, coming from somewhere up ahead. You pause, straining to listen, but the sound ceases just as quickly as it began. For a moment, you wonder if it was your imagination, or if perhaps someone or something else is wandering these aisles. The thought sends a shiver down your spine, and you find yourself glancing over your shoulder, half expecting to see a shadowy figure moving among the shelves. But there is nothing, only the flickering candlelight, the rows of dusty tomes, and the faint, ever-present whispers. You press on, trying to shake off the feeling of unease that clings to you like a cold fog. The bookshelves seem to grow narrower the farther you go, the shadows thicker, and the faint murmurs of the library more pronounced. It is as though the very air is alive with the memories of all who have walked these halls before, and you are merely a guest in a place that has existed long before your time. The whispers grow louder once more, and you find yourself drawn toward them, as if the library is leading you somewhere. The atmosphere feels charged with anticipation, as though you are on the verge of discovering a secret that has lain hidden for centuries. The aisles stretch on, dark and winding, and you can't help but feel that you are not merely exploring a library, but entering a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead are blurred, where the past is still very much alive, and the stories have minds of their own. You continue to wander the narrow aisles, feeling the air grow colder with each step. The whispering voices seem to fade, retreating into the dark corners of the library, and a peculiar stillness settles in. As you round a corner, you come upon a section that is markedly different from the others. A wrought iron gate stands before you, separating a secluded area from the rest of the library. Rusted chains dangle loosely from the gate, and an old, faded sign hangs from one of the bars, restricted. The word itself carries a sense of warning, a reminder that not all knowledge is meant to be shared. Yet there is a strange allure about this section, a quiet invitation to step beyond the boundary and see what lies within. The gate isn't locked. In fact, the chain is barely hanging on, as if it has been left this way on purpose. You hesitate, feeling the weight of the silence pressing in from all sides. There is an almost tangible sense of presence here, a feeling that whatever is behind that gate is different, older, perhaps darker than the rest of the library. The iron gate creaks as you push it open, the sound echoing through the vast space. You step inside, and the temperature drops noticeably. The air here is heavy, with an undertone of something damp and earthy, like the smell of wet stone deep underground. The shelves in this section are shorter, packed more densely together, as if the books themselves wish to huddle close for warmth. The covers are dark, the bindings cracked, and some of the titles are in languages you don't recognize, written in scripts that twist and coil like serpents. You walk slowly, your breath visible in the cold air. The atmosphere is different here, charged with a strange energy, as though the library's very essence is concentrated in this place. You reach for a book at random, and as your fingers brush the rough leather of its cover, you feel an odd tingling sensation in your hand. You pull back instinctively, but the book seems to call to you, as if materials far stranger than leather, and others are chained to the shelves as though they might try to escape if given the chance. It is then that you notice a faint movement out of the corner of your eye, a flicker of shadow near the end of the aisle. You strain to see, but the shadow is gone, as if it was never there. The coldness in the air deepens, and a shiver runs down your spine. You've heard rumors about this place, about the books kept in the restricted section, texts said to be filled with knowledge too dangerous for most to possess, books that have driven readers to madness or worse. You recall the stories of the ghostly librarian who was once a guardian of these secrets, and how she was found slumped over one of these very books, her face frozen in an expression of terror. It is said that her spirit remains bound to this place, still protecting the knowledge she once kept in life. A sudden, faint rustling draws your attention back to the shelves. It's a subtle sound, like pages being turned, though there is no breeze to stir them. You take a step forward, peering down the narrow aisle. The air feels heavier, almost suffocating, as though you've wandered too deep and crossed an unseen threshold. You can almost hear your own heartbeat, thudding softly in the silence, and the whispers seem to wrap themselves around you, winding tighter, urging you deeper into the restricted section. You continue to walk, drawn to a book that sits alone on a pedestal at the far end of the aisle. It is larger than the others, with a cover that appears to be carved from blackened wood, intricate runes etched into its surface. As you approach, the air grows colder still, and the faint sighing sound echoes once more, this time closer, almost at your ear. There is no doubt now. You are not alone in the restricted section. Something is here with you, watching, waiting, and as you reach for the book on the pedestal, you can't help but wonder if the spirits of the library are trying to keep you from uncovering something that was never meant to be found. Your fingers tremble as you reach for the book on the pedestal. The cover feels unnaturally cold, as if it has been locked away in a place where no warmth could touch it. You hesitate, sensing a strange resistance in the air, like a force pushing back against you. The whispers grow louder, their cadence quickening, becoming more urgent, almost frantic. It's as if they're trying to warn you, or perhaps trying to drown out another voice, something darker, lurking just beyond the edge of hearing. You open the book slowly, the heavy cover creaking on its hinges. Inside, the pages are filled with more of the strange symbols and diagrams, but as you turn them, a chill runs through your fingers. The ink seems to shimmer on the page, shifting in and out of focus. The voices intensify, merging into a cacophony that drowns out even your thoughts. And then, from within that chaotic murmur, a single voice emerges, clear and cold. Put it down. You freeze. The voice is unmistakable. Not a whisper, but a firm, commanding tone. You glance around quickly, but there is no one there. Only the tall shelves pressing in from either side, the flickering candlelight casting long shadows on the floor. The voice had come from the book itself. You are certain of it, yet that seems impossible. You step back from the pedestal, letting the book fall shut, the echo of its closing reverberating through the restricted section. As the echoes fade, the temperature in the room drops even further, and a thin veil of mist begins to form, swirling around the base of the shelves. The mist thickens mournful sound that seems to come from the very walls. A shadow stirs at the far end of the aisle. At first, it is nothing more than a dark shape against the gloom, but as the mist thickens, the shadow begins to take form, coalescing into the figure of a woman. She is dressed in a flowing, tattered gown, her hair a wild halo of dark strands that seem to drift as though moved by an unseen breeze. Her features are pale and blurred, like a faded photograph, and her eyes, dark and sunken, seem to fixate on you with an intensity that sends a shiver through your entire body. The ghostly figure glides closer, her form wavering like smoke. You try to step back, but your legs feel heavy, rooted in place. The whispers rise in pitch, a crescendo of dissonant voices, but the woman's voice cuts through them all. "You should not have come here," she says, her tone icy and hollow. Her words seem to hang in the air, reverberating like the toll of a distant bell. This is not a place for the living. You swallow hard, finding your voice at last. "Who are you?" you manage to ask, though your words come out as little more than a breath. "What do you want?" The woman tilts her head, her expression almost sad. "I am the keeper of these secrets," she replies, her voice echoing from somewhere deep within the mist. "In life, I was the guardian of this library. In death, I am its prisoner." A chill runs through you as the implications of her words sink in. You've heard stories of spirits bound to places, unable to move on, but you've never believed them to be more than superstition. Now, faced with the spectral presence before you, those old tales seem all too real. "I'm sorry," you stammer. "I didn't mean to disturb anything. I was just..." "You were curious," the spirit interrupts, her gaze softening slightly, "as are all who come to this place. But there is a price for knowledge beyond mortal understanding." She gestures toward the book on the pedestal, which now seems to pulse with a faint dark light. The secrets in these pages were meant to be forgotten. They carry the weight of countless souls and the burden of terrible truths. The mist thickens around you, and you can feel its cold touch creeping up your legs. There is a heaviness in the air now, a sense of foreboding that seems to seep into your very bones. You know that you should leave, that you should turn and run from this place and never look back. Yet there is something about the Spirit's words that holds you there, a feeling that you've only just begun to understand the gravity of what lies hidden in the library. "What kind of secrets?" you ask. Despite yourself, your curiosity outweighing your fear. "Why are they so dangerous?" The Spirit's expression darkens, and for a moment you catch a glimpse of the anguish hidden behind her hollow eyes. "There are some things," she whispers, "that were never meant to be known by the living. There are words that can open doors, and others that can lock them forever." Before you can respond, the shadows around her seem to shift, and a gust of cold wind blows through the aisle, extinguishing the candles one by one. The darkness deepens, and as the last flicker of light dies, the Spirit's form begins to dissolve, her voice fading into the echo of the whispers. "Leave while you still can." And then, just as suddenly as she appeared, the ghostly figure is gone, leaving you alone in the darkened aisle. The mist slowly dissipates, and the air grows still once more, but the weight of her words lingers, heavy and unsettling. The restricted section is silent again, but you can't shake the feeling that you are still being watched, that the library is aware of your presence in a way it wasn't before. You step away from the pedestal, your heart pounding in your chest, and glance back toward the iron gate. The choice is yours, to heed the spirit's warning and leave this place behind, or to venture deeper in search of answers that may come at a price far greater than you ever imagined. You hesitate at the iron gate, but something compels you to turn back. You're not quite ready to abandon your search, not after the spirit's cryptic warnings and the strange allure of the restricted section. The whispers have faded, but you can still feel the library's presence, as though it's observing you with quiet curiosity. You retrace your steps, moving deeper into the maze of narrow aisles. Your eyes scan the shelves, searching for some sign, a clue that might lead you to whatever it is the spirit was trying to keep you from finding. The air remains cold, and the shadows seem to shift with each step you take. You can't be certain if the darkness is growing thicker, or if your eyes are simply adjusting to it, but there's an almost imperceptible hum in the air, a vibration that seems to resonate from the very walls. As you walk, you notice something peculiar, a subtle seam in the back of one of the shelves, a faint crack barely visible between the rows of dusty books. You wouldn't have noticed it if not for a narrow strip of light leaking through, as pale as moonlight. You approach cautiously, reaching out to run your fingers along the crack. It's cold to the touch, and as you press against it, the shelf shifts slightly, as though it's not entirely fixed to the wall. You push harder, and with a low groan, the shelf swings inward, revealing a narrow doorway behind it. The pale light flickers from beyond, illuminating a stone passage that slopes downward into darkness. It's as if the library has opened itself to you, granting access to a place long forgotten. You hesitate only for a moment before stepping through the doorway, the hidden shelf closing softly behind you. The stone passage is cold, and the walls are rough, as though carved directly into the earth. The light ahead is dim and silvery, seeming to emanate from an unseen source. You descend the uneven steps, your footsteps echoing off the walls, growing softer as you move deeper into the passage. The whispers have disappeared entirely now, replaced by a different kind of silence, thick, ancient, and unnerving. It feels as though you've entered a different realm, a place that exists apart from the library above, or perhaps even time itself. At the bottom of the stairs, the passage opens into a small circular chamber. The light here is strange, cold and ethereal, casting no shadows. In the center of the room stands an old, ornately carved wooden table, and atop it rests a single object, a black leather-bound book, its cover adorned with symbols similar to those in the restricted section. However, these markings seem different, more intricate, more ominous. The air in the chamber is colder than anywhere else in the library, and you can see your breath misting in the pale light. You approach the table slowly, a sense of dread curling in your stomach. The book's presence is unsettling, as though it is aware of you. You reach out to touch it, and the moment your fingers graze the surface, a jolt of icy energy shoots up your arm. The sensation is both numbing and electric, as if the book is alive with some ancient power. The room grows colder still, and the light light seems to pulse, fading in and out like the flicker of a dying flame. As you lift the book from the table, a sudden gust of wind sweeps through the chamber, extinguishing the ethereal glow and plunging you into darkness. The heavy silence is replaced by a deep rumble, as if the very ground beneath you is groaning. Then, in the blackness, you hear a voice, not a whisper, but a low, guttural murmur, speaking words that send a chill straight to your bones. It isn't the spirit from before. This voice is different, older, darker. The words are in a language you do not understand, yet there is a terrible familiarity to them, as though some primal part of you recognizes their meaning. As the voice grows louder, the air in the chamber begins to swirl, and the faint outline of a figure appears before you. It is not entirely human. Its form shifts and warps, as though it cannot quite hold a single shape. The entity's eyes burn with an unnatural light, and its gaze seems to pierce straight through you. You should not have come here, it rasps, the words heavy with a malevolent intent. The knowledge you seek is not meant for the living. You clutch the book tightly, your mind racing. There is a sense of desperation now, a need to escape this place before it closes in around you. Yet something within you also feels drawn to the book, compelled to open it and glimpse the secrets that lie within. The figure looms closer, its form expanding, filling the chamber with a suffocating darkness. You have a choice, the voice continues, a cruel edge to its tone. Leave this place and forget what you have seen, or open the book and bind yourself to the fate of all who came before. The room seems to grow smaller, the darkness pressing in on all sides. You feel the weight of the book in your hands and the icy chill that has spread through your body. The presence before you is almost palpable, a force of darkness that seems to be watching, waiting for your decision. You glance down at the book once more, the symbols on the cover, now glowing faintly with a deep, ominous light. You hesitate, the weight of the book heavy in your hands. The darkness presses in from all sides, the air thick with the cold grip of fear. The figure's gaze feels like icy fingers wrapping around your mind, and you can sense its anticipation, waiting for you to falter. But then you remember the ghostly woman, the former librarian who warned you in the restricted section. Her sorrowful eyes, her mournful voice. She had seemed different from this menacing presence, and her warnings felt like they carried genuine concern, not malice. The thought stirs something in you, a faint glimmer of resolve. You take a step back, clutching the book tightly. I need to know, you whisper, almost to yourself. What happened to the librarian? Why is she trapped here? The shadowy figure's form shifts, dark tendrils curling around the edges of the chamber. The librarian, it hisses, the words like a venomous breath. She chose to protect the secrets of this place, but she was not strong enough to bear them. A sudden gust of wind rushes through the room, chilling your skin and extinguishing the faint, ominous light emanating from the book. For a moment, you are plunged into complete darkness, and then, just as suddenly, a pale glow begins to radiate from the chamber's walls. Is that what happened to you? You ask, your voice hushed. Did the secrets kill you? Her face twists with a mixture of regret and bitterness. They did more than that, she replies. The knowledge trapped me here. It bound me to this place, to the very walls of the library. Now I am little more than a guardian, a keeper of curses. She gestures toward the book, her hand trembling slightly. That volume you hold is one of the oldest. It contains the darkest of secrets, rituals, forbidden lore, and knowledge that corrupts those who seek it. I tried to destroy it once, but the library would not let me. The weight of her words settles heavily in your mind, and you find yourself tightening your grip on the book. Then why didn't you stop me from coming here? You ask, a hint of frustration in your voice. If the secrets are so dangerous, why not keep everyone away? The librarian's gaze softens, and for the first time, you see a hint of compassion in her eyes. Because curiosity is a force of nature, she says, I could not stop you, just as I could not stop myself. The library calls to those who seek answers, who crave knowledge. It offers you a choice, just as it did for me. You look around the chamber, the symbols glowing softly on the walls, the faint hum of energy in the air. It feels like the library is alive, its will an ancient force that transcends time. The book in your hand seems to thrum with that same energy, as if it is aware of the conversation and eager for you to open it. What happens if I do open it? You ask, glancing down at the dark cover. Will it trap me here too? The librarian's expression grows distant, her eyes shadowed by some painful memory. That depends on what you seek, she says quietly. If you are searching for power or forbidden knowledge, then yes, it will claim you. But if you seek to understand, to learn without greed, there may still be a way to escape this place. The shadowy figure that lingered at the edges of the room begins to stir again, its form growing more solid as it moves closer. It is as if the library is manifesting its own consciousness, taking shape in the dark entity that stalks just beyond the glow of the carvings. You have lingered too long, it growls, its voice a guttural rumble that echoes off the stone walls. The secrets are not yours to take. The librarian's gaze snaps toward the dark figure, her eyes narrowing with defiance. There is more to the library than secrets and shadows, she says, her voice growing firmer. It is also a place of stories, of the living and the dead, and the choices we make. She turns to you, her translucent form seeming to glow brighter. You still have a choice, she says urgently. Leave the book, and the library will release you. But if you take it with you, be prepared to face whatever comes. The air grows tense, and the darkness seems to close in once more, as though it is coiling around you, tightening its grip. You feel the pull of the library's will, the temptation to open the book and uncover like smoke, its eyes burning with a cold, malevolent light. The air is thick with the weight of the decision you must make. Leave the book and flee, or open it and face the consequences. The librarian's gaze remains fixed on you, her expression a mixture of hope and desperation. She is giving you a chance, a way out that she never had. With a sudden burst of determination, you thrust the book back onto the wooden table, the cover thudding dully against the ancient wood. The moment it leaves your hands, the oppressive atmosphere of the chamber seems to lessen slightly. The book's dark energy recedes, and the air becomes easier to breathe, though the cold still bites at your skin. The librarian's spectral form flickers, a look of relief washing over her features. "You've made the right choice," she says, her voice softer now, though it carries a hint of sadness. "Now you must leave before the library changes its mind." But even as she speaks, the darkness around the edges of the chamber thickens, the shadowy figure growing more substantial. It hisses in anger, its form twisting into shapes that seem to stretch and bend the very fabric of reality. The entity surges forward, as if trying to wrap itself around you, to pull you into the depths of its swirling darkness. You stagger back toward the passageway, the chill seeping through your clothes and into your bones. As you turn to flee, the librarian raises her hand, and the glowing symbols on the walls flare brightly, casting a harsh white light across the chamber. The light pushes back the encroaching shadows, giving you just enough time to dart toward the narrow staircase that leads upward. The stone steps are steep and uneven, and you scramble up them as quickly as you can, your breath ragged in your throat. The air is even colder now, and you can feel the darkness clawing at your back, pulling at your clothes, trying to drag you back down into the depths. You don't dare look over your shoulder. You know that whatever is behind you is too terrible to face directly. As you reach the top of the stairs, the hidden door swings shut behind you with a resounding thud, sealing off the passage. You stumble into the restricted section, gasping for air, your legs trembling from the frantic climb. The shelves loom around you, casting long shadows that flicker with the dim light of the few remaining candles. You bolt for the iron gate, your footsteps echoing through the narrow aisles. The library seems to shift around you, the shelves closing in, the walls leaning inward as if the entire place is bending to the will of the dark presence that you have just escaped. It's as if the library is alive and actively trying to trap you within its labyrinth of forgotten knowledge and buried secrets. Just as you reach the gate, you feel the cold once more, this time lancing through your chest like a blade of ice. You stumble, a wave of dizziness washing over you. The darkness is creeping in from the edges of your vision, and the whispers begin to rise again, soft at first, then building in a frantic chorus that echoes through your mind. "Don't let it take you," the librarian's voice calls out from somewhere behind you, distant and fading. You're almost free. You grab hold of the iron bars, your hands numb from the cold. The gate swings open with a rusty creak, and you lunge through it, stumbling into the main part of the library. The temperature is slightly the stone steps and out into the street, finally allowing yourself to look back. The library's facade appears unchanged, the tall windows dark and lifeless, as if the place had never awakened at all. But you know what lies behind those walls now. You've seen the secrets it guards, the darkness that lingers within its depths. You take one last look at the library, a shudder running through you, before turning away and walking quickly down the street. The chill in the air is fading, and as you move further from the building, the oppressive weight lifts from your shoulders. The whispers grow silent, and the sense of being watched gradually fades. But a lingering thought haunts you as you leave the library behind, the knowledge of the hidden book and the secrets that almost consumed you. You wonder if the dark presence still waits in the shadows, guarding its secrets, and if the librarian, even in death, continues to warn away those who seek answers to questions better left unasked. And with that final thought, you quicken your pace, eager to put as much distance as possible between you and the library that will forever haunt your memory. The night stretches before you like an ink-black ocean, each step carrying you further from the library's looming silhouette. You walk briskly, desperate to leave that place behind, though its presence still clings to you like a stubborn fog. The streetlights above cast small pools of golden light onto the damp pavement, but the shadows between them seem to stretch on endlessly, darker than they should be. You can't shake the feeling that the library's darkness is still reaching for you, lurking just beyond the glow. As you round the corner onto a quieter street, you finally begin to slow down, your breath coming in ragged gasps. The library is out of sight now, but its influence lingers, and your thoughts are a tangled mix of relief, fear, and lingering curiosity. You wonder if you will ever truly be free of its grasp, if the whispers you heard and the darkness you felt will follow you for the rest of your life. You come to a halt near a small park, where a bench sits beneath the outstretched branches of an old oak tree. You collapse onto it, your legs aching from the mad dash to escape, and close your eyes, letting the cool night air wash over your face. For the first time, you allow yourself to truly exhale, as though you are breathing out the last remnants of the library's darkness. The city around you is calm and quiet, the distant hum of traffic and occasional chatter drifting through the air. It feels surreal to be here in this ordinary world after what you just experienced. You open your eyes and glance around, half expecting to see shadowy figures lurking in the corners, but there are none, only the dim lights of the park and the faint rustle of leaves in the breeze. As you sit there, your mind keeps returning to the librarian, the sorrow in her eyes and the quiet determination in her voice. Her warning saved you, but she remains trapped within that place, bound to the secrets she once tried to protect. You wonder if there was something you could have done to help her, if leaving the book behind was truly the right choice. But deep down, you know that some burdens are not meant to be carried by the living. The thought brings a chill to your spine, and you shiver, drawing your jacket closer. You look up at the sky, where the moon hangs pale and distant, partially obscured by thin wisps of cloud. It feels like a world apart from the eyes to find it hasn't stopped working. It feels as though hours must have passed in that dark place, but the screen tells you it's been only a short while since you first stepped inside. You tap out a quick message to a friend, letting them know you're okay, though you don't mention where you've been or what you've seen. How could you? The truth is too strange, too unreal. You rise from the bench, still feeling an odd pull from the direction of the library, as if some part of you was left behind. You take one last look at the path you came down, at the faint glow of the distant streetlights that mark the way back to that place. But the urge to return is fleeting, a mere echo of the curiosity that led you there in the first place. You've had enough of the darkness for one night. Turning away, you start walking again, heading toward the brighter, busier streets where the lights are warmer and people move about, blissfully unaware of the hidden terrors that lie beneath the mundane surface of the city. You blend into the flow of life, letting the familiar sounds and sights ground you in reality once more. As you walk, you reach into your pocket for comfort, finding nothing unusual at first, just your keys, a crumpled receipt, and your wallet. But then your fingers brush against something else. You pull it out and stare at it in disbelief. It's a slip of old, yellowed paper, no larger than a business card. Faded ink forms a handwritten note. The library never forgets. Your breath catches in your throat, and you glance over your shoulder, half expecting to see the shadows stretching towards you once more. But the street is empty, and the night is still. Only the park bench remains in the distance, sitting quietly beneath the oak tree. You fold the slip of paper, tucking it back into your pocket, and quicken your pace. The city feels different now, as if you've stepped into a new chapter of your life, one where the line between reality and the unknown is thinner than you ever imagined. The night stretches on, and with each step, you leave the library farther behind. Yet a small part of you knows that no matter how far you go, it will never entirely leave you. As you disappear into the night, the library's dark presence remains hidden, a silent watcher waiting for the next curious soul to wander too deep. And though you escaped, you can't help but wonder if someday you might hear its call again, or if it might come looking for you. And so, dear listener, as the last echoes of tonight's tale fade into the stillness, we thank you for wandering these shadowed paths with us. In the quiet that remains, may your thoughts linger on the strange and wondrous mysteries that we have shared. Until we meet again in the twilight between reality and dreams, rest easy and remember, the unknown is never far away. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.